asset searches on individuals and businesses when you're debating or contemplating whether litigation makes sense. Hi, Tim Santoni, been a private investigator for over 20 years. We work with clients in the legal space, business owners, brand owners, and individuals who are involved in high-stakes litigation. Today I want to talk about asset searches, specifically asset searches when you're contemplating litigation against an individual or a business. Many clients come to me and say, hey, I'm contemplating suing, but I'm not sure if it will be worthwhile. Even if we win, will the defendants, whether that's an individual or business, have the assets or the resources or the real estate that could be liquidated in order to satisfy the judgment? So what can be done? The question becomes, if it's a privately held company, there could be very little information available. If it's an individual, there could be a plethora of information. The objective in these situations is to assemble as much information as possible, both positive and negative, so you can determine if it makes sense to pursue litigation. This is useful before filing. It can also be used during the midst of litigation or post-judgment. The objective of conducting a thorough and comprehensive asset search on an individual or business is to understand their asset profile, to get a sense of whether or not they will be able to pay, if in fact you win a settlement or you go to trial and win a judgment in a case. This can create a lot of stress and anxiety, and the more information you have, the better you can make the decision. In many instances, litigation will persist no matter what. However, if you have a better sense of who you're dealing with at the onset, this could be important. Bonus tip. It's really important to establish a baseline of assets on individuals and businesses prior to litigation. The reason I say this is because if in fact litigation pursues and there's transfer of assets, you can then argue at some point that there was possibly a fraudulent conveyance, which would allow you to claw back assets that were moved in anticipation of litigation or in litigation to avoid settlement or judgment. Some important things to understand about asset searches on privately held businesses. If they're in the service space and they're under $5 million in revenue, there's no real robust databases available to obtain revenue and financial information. Remember, private companies are not required to file reports with the state or the government as to their revenue, profits, losses, etc. If it's a public company, this is a totally different story. There's much more information available. My suggestion is to conduct a robust search on the business and the individual behind the business before filing litigation to get a sense of who you're dealing with, who you're up against. It may or may not change your decision about pursuing litigation, but it's really important to have an understanding and a baseline of who you're dealing with before you file that suit. Thanks so much for tuning in. Consider liking and subscribing. I'll see you in the next one.